Grave Encounters was a found footage movie that kind of not really got under the radar, but a lot of people kind of chalked off as being just like one of those disposable ones, and I don't think so. Movie's about a group of filmmakers, technically, who are making a TV show called Grave Encounters when they go to this one hospital that starts to mess with them. What I was kind of expecting with this movie was kind of like the traditional stuff going on, where it's like, okay, they just go in the hospital and then they start going crazy, even though, nothing's really going on. But then this movie did a little turn on me, where instead of it's like, okay, what if instead of the people going crazy or being crazy from the start, what if the hospital is messing with them and making their psyche just go wild, go crazy? And kind of what they did was they basically said like, yeah, what if this hospital was like a constant moving maze where it just kept moving all the time, so that way you continuously get lost because of all the occult things that happened in that hospital. I mean, they go into it, they had like shock therapy, there was a surgical lab, they had a like almost daycare, or, and then, had human sacrifices. So what if that was happening? And this wasn't all that bad. I wish the characters were written a little better, because they were definitely kind of like, you don't really care about them. You just like, they kind of give you the whole point of like, yeah, I don't like you. And when the start of a movie, that's fine, and then through the course of the movie, they could be picking up as characters. But with here, it's just like they're constantly in fear, but you don't really care. So that's something I wish they fixed. There are some effective scares in this movie. Just this is definitely one that kind of got under the radar, or just people just disposed it, because you had like Paranormal Activity was still coming out. You had like The Devil Inside, Devil's Due, like all these other found footage movies, and then this came out, and it was just like, well, this is gonna go into that catalog of just like, disposable, just go away. And there are people that don't like this movie, and I can see why. But, to me, I'm kind of in the middle, where I'm like, okay, they did this right. I think this was cool. This, I think they could have totally did differently. So, yeah. No. Not the best, but not the worst, so it's getting an average. Then, I think about 2 years later, or like 2 or 3 years later, they made a sequel.
Interesting. I don't think they heard it.
Grave Encounters 2. It's about film students, where one of them is obsessed with the first Grave Encounters and starts researching about it, and then discovers like, oh, this thing's actually real. So then they go to the actual hospital, and repeat of the first movie. This was very much a repeat of the first movie. I mean, there's even parts in this movie where they replay scenes from the first movie, not with like new characters, but they just copy and paste scenes from the first movie. It's just like, why was that needed there? this very much was kind of like, it reminded me so much of like Blair Witch 2, where, you know, Blair Witch 2 came out, where people still thought the first Blair Witch Project was real. You know, now years later, you know, we're like, we know it's fake. But yeah, where it was like, oh, these people, they're going to discover, like, was it real? Was it fake? This is very much the same thing, and I think when you do that, you're definitely questioning intelligence. And I'm like, don't throw that in my face. The beginning, you don't like any of these characters. Even though they're film students, they're very much like frat boys, which is a bit odd. So it's that was a bit weird, and even the main character, who is starting to kind of be a future filmmaker, he basically puts all that aside and says like, screw all that, I'm gonna focus on this. And it's like, why would you like throw that away to then just go study a movie? Like, why would you do that? You're not that smart. Yeah, but that's when I realized, like, oh yeah, nobody in this movie is smart. This was definitely like, it was definitely a low. Then when they get to the hospital, it started coming high again, and then they just started throwing stuff at you. That was like, wait, what are you doing? Like they bring a character back from the first one. That's like, okay, what are you doing here? And I'm like, okay, but how did you even like kind of survive all this? And then the climax was just kind of so stupid that I was like, wait, what is happening? Like, you're not throwing this in? Yeah, and then, yeah, ending sucked. This was a missed opportunity. They could have made this just as good, if not better, than the first one. Big disappointment, so it gets fun. Some things in it that keep it from being terrible, but, you know, still, overall, just could have been way better. So there you go. Those are my reviews for Grave Encounters 1 and 2. Hope you liked the review. Let me know what other movies and TV shows and anything else entertainment-wise you want me to check out. I'll see you next time.